I froze outside the clinic door, my hand trembling as it hovered over the cold metal handle. The courtroom had drained every ounce of hope from me. I had lost. My husband, the man I had once loved with every heartbeat, had won. And now, carrying the weight of my unborn twins, I felt more fragile than I ever had. The world was cruel, and the echo of the judge's words still rang in my ears. The custody remains with your husband. Poor girl. The voice was brittle, lined with age and wisdom. I turned sharply and saw an old woman leaning on a worn cane. Her eyes sharp despite the wrinkles that carved her face. She studied me, not with pity, but with a knowing intensity that made my chest tighten. "Excuse me," I managed, my voice barely a whisper. She gave a faint, almost sorrowful smile. "I've seen your kind before. Heart shattered, soul screaming, yet walking as if nothing weighs on you. You're carrying more than just your children, aren't you?" I blinked, startled by her insight. I wanted to brush her off, but there was something in her voice, a resonance of truth, that made me pause. "How do you know?" I asked, my voice shaking. She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she gestured toward the door. "Sometimes, the heaviest burdens are not the ones we carry in our arms but the ones we carry in our hearts. Go inside. And remember this. What is lost may not be what is truly yours to lose." I didn't understand her fully, but I pushed the door open, the sound of it clicking shut behind me like a seal. The sterile scent of antiseptic filled my lungs, but it couldn't cleanse the bitterness that burned inside me. Hours later, I sat in a dimly lit corner, watching the nurse guide a young mother through the clinic. My mind, however, wasn't on the other patients. It was on him. And David. My husband. My once trusted companion, my lover, my betrayer. I had suspected the affair months ago. Subtle shifts in his tone, his avoidance, the faint scent of another woman lingering on his clothes. But I had clung desperately to hope, convincing myself I was imagining things. Until that night. Oh, that night when the truth hit me like a sledgehammer. I had returned home early from work, planning a surprise dinner, only to find the door ajar. Inside, the living room was dim, the air thick with perfume that wasn't mine. And there he was, with her. Not a fleeting glance, not an accidental touch, but a deliberate, consuming closeness that carved itself into my memory. "Why?" I had whispered, my voice breaking, trembling on the edge of hysteria. David had turned, his expression unreadable, but not remorseful. "It's not what you think," he had said. But it was exactly what I thought. And it was worse. Left. Filed for divorce. I fought for custody. I lost. And now, carrying the life that was growing inside me, 2 little lives that were innocent, pure, I felt like the world had turned its back on me. A knock on the clinic door pulled me from my spiraling thoughts. I looked up to see a man entering, tall, composed, familiar. My heart thudded painfully against my ribcage. "David. What are you doing here?" I asked, my voice a mixture of anger and disbelief. He didn't answer immediately. He simply looked at me, his eyes scanning my face, lingering on my stomach. I heard about the case," he said finally, his tone guarded. "I came to see you." I laughed bitterly. "See me? Or see the twins? Because clearly, you care about winning more than anyone here." He flinched, and for a moment, I saw something vulnerable beneath his polished exterior. But the thought of her made my blood boil. I made mistakes," he admitted, voice low. "But I've always cared. About you. About them. About us." I shook my head. "You cared enough to betray me. You cared enough to lie. You cared enough to destroy the life we were building." There was a long pause. Around us, the clinic moved in slow, quiet rhythms. Nurses passing, babies crying, the soft hum of machines monitoring life. The thing he had jeopardized, the thing I now carried. "Look," he said finally, stepping closer. "I was wrong. But this isn't just about me or you. It's about them, our children. Don't you want them to know their father?" I stared at him, torn. Part of me wanted to scream, to turn and flee, to leave him behind and never look back. Another part, the part that still remembered the warmth of his hand in mine, the laughter we shared in empty kitchens at midnight, the dreams whispered in quiet bedrooms, wanted to forgive, wanted to believe that love could survive betrayal. I don't know if I can, I whispered, tears blurring my vision. I don't know if I can ever trust you again. He nodded, slowly, almost understandingly. I don't expect you to. Not now. Not ever. But I'll fight if you let me to prove that what we had, what we can still have, is real. That it's not too late. The old woman's words from earlier echoed in my mind. What is lost may not be what is truly yours to lose. Could that be true? Could the life we once shared, fractured and broken, somehow be restored? Could the twins, innocent and unaware of human failings, be a bridge back to something that once felt like home? I looked down at my stomach, then back at him. They'll need both of us. Whether we like it or not, they'll need you. His eyes softened, relief and guilt mingling in their depths. I'll do whatever it takes, he said. Even if it means earning your trust 1,000 times over. I didn't answer immediately. I didn't know if I could. The pain was still raw, a tender wound that throbbed with every memory of his betrayal. But I knew one thing. I wasn't alone in this. Not entirely. The old woman appeared again, this time from the corner of the waiting room, her presence almost ghostly. She smiled knowingly, as if she had orchestrated this moment all along. I didn't ask her how she knew, didn't ask why she cared. I simply nodded, a quiet acknowledgement that sometimes the universe places people exactly where they need to be, even in the most broken moments. David reached out his hand cautiously. I hesitated, then let my fingers brush against his. A small, tentative connection, fragile as glass, yet full of possibility. Let's take this one step at a time, he whispered. I closed my eyes, drawing in a shaky breath. The weight of despair was still there, but now there was a sliver of hope threading through it, like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. I had lost so much. I had been betrayed, humiliated, broken. But the twins inside me, my little miracles, were a chance to rebuild, a chance to redefine love, even if it was cautious, tentative and scarred. We left the clinic together, slowly, carefully, the world outside moving obliviously on. I glanced at him, and for the first time in months, I allowed myself a tentative hope. Not naive, not blind, but real. And in that fragile hope, I felt something stir in my chest. The possibility of forgiveness, the quiet whisper of second chances, and the fragile, stubborn heartbeat of love that refuses to die. Because life, I realized, doesn't wait for perfect moments. It waits for the brave, the broken, the willing to face heartbreak and still choose to keep moving forward. And maybe, just maybe, we could find our way back to each other, one small, trembling step at a time.